This is Heavy2Hustle, where excuses die and real ones rise. Let's go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Heavy2Hustle. We are back. This is episode four?
Shoot.
Four?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, so we're back. This is we're doing something new today. We have a guest today. We have we got a lot of stuff that we want to talk about. A lot of good information that I know a lot of people are going to benefit from it. Sandy?
Yeah, we got Sebastian today, everybody.
Hi, Mom.
I made it, Mama.
Mama made it.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk to Sebastian. He is my personal trainer, and I admire this guy. He is so knowledgeable. He knows so many things, and I'm gonna try not to cuss because your mom is watching, but
No, it's all good. She cusses too.
yeah, I really love that he agreed to come on as a guest and give us a lot of knowledge because he knows a lot of stuff. He knows a lot of stuff. So
No, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of things that I've seen with Sandy where she's grown so much. She's had so much more confidence in the gym. Like she walks in and she knows what to do and she's not there looking like a lost puppy.
yeah, and it's taken a lot of this because like I'm a brat, but Sebastian is he's got discipline. Like you should be eating this, you should be doing this, and that's awesome for me. So yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit of a lot of things, but we're gonna kind of go through some questions to get a little more info about who is Sebastian. Who is Sebastian?
That is the IG handle as well.
Yeah.
Underscore who
For
is
real,
Sebastian
it is.
underscore. It literally is.
And we're gonna
Yep.
link him again. But
Yes.
yeah. So how did you get started in this industry? Like what motivated you?
It was honestly, it is a long story, and I'll try to compress it for the viewers and for you guys. I graduated college in 2024 of last year with a degree in marketing.
Awesome.
And I met a really good professor who convinced me to go into sales. And I was like, okay, I enjoy fitness, but I just want to go into sales. I want to get a corporate job. Sales would offer me some sort of autonomy, kind of like an entrepreneur or something like a business owner, while having the safety net of a constant income, like a salary.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. So I got a job at a Fortune 500 company in October of 2024, and I left in April of this year. Now, through those 6 to 8 months, my physical health declined a lot because I was focusing so much on my job. And that gave me the empathy and understanding of, people who work a 9 to 5 or work blue collar jobs. They need someone that has that experience. And I might not have 5-10 years of experience, maybe like a 30-year-old or 40-year-old. But from that small time frame, I learned a significant amount of information and how difficult it is to plan everything and how to be successful when it comes to your fitness goals. And when it came to April of 2025, I actually lost a good friend of mine. My friend passed away in a motorcycle accident. I had known him since I was 13 years old. So for 10 years.
So sorry about that.
It's all good.
Yeah, sorry.
He was in ROTC. So he was always like doing extreme stuff, always on motorcycles, always surfing. He was, I would say, someone that I admired, God knows, like to another level, super extreme guy. And when he passed away, I kind of sat with myself and I was like, if I know I'm not happy in this job, even though it's a great company, I have great coworkers, I have a future at this company in leadership and I have people that will support me to get there, why am I staying in this position? Because the reality is I was sitting there, I had just lost a good friend of mine, and I was thinking, well, tomorrow I could go. And not to get all sentimental and dramatic, but that is kind of the reality of life. It's very fragile. So if you don't jump on the opportunities or decisions, especially at a young age, then as you get older and you gain more responsibilities like kids, a family, a mortgage, then it's going to be much more difficult to tackle on those opportunities. So I just decided, hey, I have done online training previously. During my corporate world journey, I was having 2 online clients and I was managing them for probably 5 or 6 months of my 8 months at the corporate job. And I was like, I just want to go all in. And that was just my decision. I took about a month off just to kind of grieve, honestly. And then I just formulated a plan of, okay, I want to go all in. What gym am I going to go to? How am I going to get my clients? And what type of coach do I want to be?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So
No.
a lot of people don't know that about me. Yeah.
No,
It's,
Yeah.
wow, I didn't like really
yeah,
know all the details. Like, it's amazing how much losing someone can change your
for sure.
perspective and just like that,
For sure.
right?
Yeah.
It's crazy, but wow, like you're so young and you've processed so many things that most people that are way older than you still haven't even been able to process. Like they're probably still stuck at that same job.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
fact that you were able to make that decision
Yeah.
is amazing.
No, and I really appreciate that. Those are really kind words, but I try not to put it all on myself. So my parents luckily have not kicked me out of the house yet. So they have kept me in the house. Thank you, mom and dad, if you guys are
That's
watching this.
awesome.
And they are both immigrants. My dad is Mexican and my mom is Romanian. And I think, are both of you guys' parents immigrants or
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of first generation, the things that we go through is we don't want to be disappointments to our parents
Absolutely.
because we see the struggle that they went through coming to this country, not speaking the language, learning English, gaining skills, right? And I think for me, I was worried that my parents would see me as a failure because the corporate world is the safe route.
Right.
And right now, even though the job market is bad, once you get that job, you do have a great safety net. You have the medical benefits, you have the
Yeah.
insurance,
Absolutely.
you have a 401k, you have all of these things that can drive you and propel you forward to essentially financial freedom at a very young age. And I had that opportunity straight out of college, and my parents were so ecstatic. They were so happy for me. I had to go through like 4 or 5 rounds of interviews just to get that position. And when it came to the point of deciding if I want to tell them if I want to leave the job or not, I always thought, well, if I tell them this, they're going to think I'm making a wrong decision, that I'm being too risky, that I don't care about my future, that I am a failure, and that my college degree was a waste of time. And I remember like coming to my dad, especially because my dad has always been more of like the straightforward kind of guy. He's the Mexican one, just very like straightforward, very blunt. And I had prepared myself for a reaction of, really? Like he's just going to lay out the pros and cons. And it's like, clearly the pros outweigh the cons. Why would you make this decision? But then when I came to him, he welcomed me with open arms, and it was really,
that's awesome.
yeah, it was a really special moment. I remember kind of like tearing up because I was like, I wasn't expecting this reaction. And with my mom, she's always been like my number one fan.
Yeah.
You're always going to be their biggest fan, right?
Yeah.
So my mom, same with me. They had supported me from the very start. And up until this point, they have continued to do so. So I've just been immensely grateful for that. I have a good inner circle, and I think that is something that is rare nowadays, especially in young
Definitely.
individuals.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's so rare. Like you don't really see it, and I'm Mexican. It's not that as parents we have mean parents or
no, of
we are
course,
mean parents,
yeah,
but it's just like the way that we think is a little like, and it's not being mean. It's just like we're hustlers,
no, of
and not to
course,
say that any other culture
no,
isn't,
for
but it's just our mindset's a little different. I'm just happy to know that there's progress. I
no,
want to call it,
100%,
because
100%,
back in the day it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
So,
And you have to think our parents it's a whole different generation.
for sure, 100%,
You really have to think that the way that the economy was, the way that everything was set up for them is not the way that it's set up for our generation or even
absolutely,
the newer generation. We're starting to see that, there's a lot of things that, that now everything is it's a technology driven world now. And everything
absolutely,
is like, AI and everything is evolving. So, it's great to hear that even that, like your parents still supported you
yeah,
because I know I've had parents, my parents, if I were to come up with them and tell, hey mom, you know what, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna be my own boss. A lot of times, she told me, it's like, why?
yeah,
Like just like you mentioned,
yeah,
it's like you're securing, your paycheck, your pension, your benefits,
mm,
your PTO, and a lot of times it's like you have a vision,
yeah,
and and it's like I know you're young, but you went through a lot of traumatic things that for your age, it made you really look at it and see what's my purpose? Like,
Yeah.
what do I really want?
No, for sure. I think, it's like when it comes to trauma, it has that interesting effect on us where it does in a way push us to, well, I think when you face a scenario of trauma, it can obviously have an everlasting effect on an individual, but it's up to that individual to decide, what do you want that effect to be? Do you want it to be the effect of, okay, I'm going to sit down, wallow, and fall
Cry
into this
about
very
it.
deep depression, which
Right.
unfortunately happens very often, and I don't blame people and I can't judge them for what they've gone through. But on the other hand, you do have the option to basically surpass the previous versions of yourself and use this as motivation to propel yourself into that ideal version of yourself. And I had to talk with friends, and I was telling them like what I was going through. And I think as a young guy too, in my generation, we struggle a lot with that, opening
Yeah.
up with our friends. And I think thankfully I have a great group of friends that I can go to and tell, hey, I'm going through a tough time, et cetera, et cetera. And they always tell me, they're like, I'm just glad you didn't go towards drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this fitness obsession, quote unquote obsession, this was like the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Like I'm really proud of you and I'm really happy for you. And I would just tell them, but I couldn't have done it without you guys,
Yeah.
because who would
That
I have to
support.
open up to?
Yeah.
And I think support is super, super important. Like you guys probably read the newsletter, right, that I sent out, support systems
Yeah.
that is embedded in human nature since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And I think we've kind of lost that interaction and like that intimacy with our friends, loved ones, and that lack of support, unfortunately, has consequences,
Yeah.
in society. So
Yeah, definitely. And it's crazy, but I didn't know that was kind of what ignited your journey,
mhm,
the loss of someone and
yeah,
everything. And it's so funny because so did me, so was I.
yeah,
I lost my brother last year, October.
mhm,
So I was already on my weight loss journey,
yeah,
but that right there, I didn't know how to maneuver that. I have never lost anyone so close to me. Me and my brother, we were like best friends.
yeah,
And I didn't know what to do with that. And I'm not good with expressing myself and,
yeah, of course, yeah,
emotions.
yeah,
I'm just like, we don't feel.
that's
I'm old
yeah,
school, and
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
saying it's healthy. I just didn't know, and he wouldn't even know how to talk to me. Like,
yeah,
oh my, I don't know what to, because like I would shut down.
yeah, of course,
I would get on my truck and go do my rounds, deliveries,
mhm,
whatever, and I'd come back home and shut myself out.
mhm,
And I stopped working out. I'd stopped doing all the things that I loved, and I was just really in it. I
yeah,
didn't do any drugs. I didn't do any alcohol or anything like that, but I was just so stuck and I didn't
mhm,
know what to do. So I don't know what happened to me, but
mhm,
one day I just got up and I said, I'm going to the gym. We're going to go and we're going to do this. And ever since I made that decision, it just like that's what got me into where I am
yeah,
right now. So it's crazy like how something like that can happen. But I'm just happy I ran into you, and it's so funny that our stories are so alike,
yeah,
right?
Mhm.
yeah,
It's crazy. But I did want to ask, like, what were your biggest struggles starting out? I know before in the corporate world, it has its own struggles and everything, and that within itself is its own drama. Like
for
even
sure,
if you're young, you walk in 25, you walk out there 50. Like
for
that's
sure,
how
Yeah, it's
that's how
stressful.
much, yeah.
yep,
So I mean, what was like when like your struggles starting into your new career?
yeah. The first one was the self belief that I could do this. I think when I had the conversation with my managers at my corporate job, and I told them straight up, this is what I'm going to do. I remember like I was crying in the office with my manager because she was God sent. Like she was a one of a kind manager. I have never had a manager like her. And I knew that that is something that is a rarity to come by. And I remember just kind of thinking, what was she gonna think of me? Because she supported me so much in that difficult job that I think sometimes I found my self belief from her. But now that I am on my own, right? The self belief from my parents is a little bit different because as a son or as a kid, I think sometimes we think, well, our parents are supposed to tell us we're going to be successful.
Right.
Why would we believe you? And I think we obviously don't mean for you guys to think that we disregard what you guys tell us. But at the same time, we've just been wired to hear that over time, which in a way is a good thing because you guys are supporting your kids. But at the same time, it's like well, that's a given. Is it real? Is it not?
Yeah.
So then you automatically disqualify the people that are the closest to you, which is honestly not the right thing to do, but you just subconsciously do it. And now I was left in my thoughts, well, can I actually do this shit? I was doing online, only had 2 clients, but then I was thinking in my head, I don't have consistent income anymore. I don't know where to start. If I start posting content on social media, the people that I went to high school with and college with, what would they think of me? Like, I was so scared of what people would think of me and what I
Would
wanted
you
to do.
think? Did you get like feelings of like imposter syndrome?
For sure, because even when I got the job at the corporate world, I was like, do I deserve this? Why did they like me so much? Are my skills adequate enough for this job? So once I kind of got comfortable in that job and then I left to do this, it was the exact same feeling. It was like, am I educated enough? Can I get people enough results? I've gotten 1 or 2 people results, but does that mean I can get 5 or 10 people results? Is this process repeatable? What type of systems do I have in place that can be replicated to get results and not overly stress myself?
Right.
Because if I stress myself out, I can get my clients the results that they want because I'm going to be too fatigued, especially mentally. So these were just like a bunch of things going through my head. So it was definitely self-belief. And then I'd probably say just probably putting myself out there, like on social media.
Yeah, that's I know that's like one of the hardest things when when you want to put something out that you've gone through, that you've had this experience.
Yeah.
Now you want to share it. Now you want to let people know it. It's hard. It's hard to really get out there and put yourself out and be consistent with it. It's tough, and that's one of the things that we've gone through, where it's with the podcast, we know that there's a lot of benefit to it, and especially with this one, more than anything, this exact episode, because we want to let people know about the importance of a personal trainer. And this is a great episode because you get to get your background and see what really drives you and why this has been like your passion for for others to be their best version of themselves.
Yeah. But going back to what you said, I really admire all the key points you mentioned, because I just want to let you know that that is exactly the mind of an entrepreneur. You asked all the right questions. Is this repeatable? This is all business talk, and it's amazing. Like that's exactly, the key to being successful. You're asking all the right questions. And just so you know, being an entrepreneur within itself is you're already above, a level above, because that's not for everybody.
Yeah.
If it was that easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah, I mean,
So just
it's not your corporate job. It's not your your 9 to 5 where you're off the clock and that's it. You go home and relax.
no, it's a 24-hour. You work
I
in your
work on the
sleep.
weekends. I do you guys' check-ins. It's
Yeah.
yep, 7 days a week. Yeah.
No, and sometimes I get your check-ins like at 3 a.m, and I'm like, oh my God, okay, yeah, I got to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, hold on, why is he up at 3 a.m? But it's just, that's how it is. Like, it's a nonstop thing. And that's the key things to remember when you're getting those imposter syndromes.
Yeah.
That mentality. That's no one, by the way, in your ear. That's you in your ear. And it's like, and I know because that's me, too. It's just an entrepreneur mentality. And it sucks. It's a kind of a mind fuck, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, it's
Hey, if you literally like, if you don't get the feeling of like, damn, should I just quit?
at least 10 times a day.
Yeah.
No, like you're not doing it right, because it's gonna happen. There's scenarios in our business where we're just, sometimes it's everything's riding well, and I mean, shit. Just this morning, I get a call from one of our drivers saying that his truck is acting funny, and I'm in the middle of a workout.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a workout, and it's just like shit. I had to pause and I had to take the phone call, but that's how it is. It's just, it's never gonna be. It's not always gonna be smooth sailing.
Yeah. It's very volatile.
Yeah, and but those are the scenarios. Those are the things that are gonna forge you, and they're going to once you go through that scenario, when it comes back again, you'll know how to approach it because you've already been through it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk a little bit more about, having a gym trainer
Yeah,
in general.
of
But
course.
what's the biggest misconceptions like people have about trainers, about just having a personal trainer?
I'd probably say one of the biggest, like specifically about trainers, I'd probably say that one of them at least is that being a trainer is easy. I think, unfortunately, the market is very saturated. There is a low barrier to entry, meaning there are a bunch of people who are enough making great money that have never gotten a certification, have never like read studies, don't know how
Yeah.
to read scientific studies, but it's because they know how to market themselves and they have insane amounts of self-belief, which I admire about them, right? But at some point I know they will get caught up and I don't want to be that person. But when it comes to the market itself, it's interesting because being a trainer is not easy. It is not easy at all. I have to deal with, if I have 5 or 6 clients a day, that is 5 or 6 different personalities that I have to mold to.
Right.
And luckily from sales, I learned that I had to adjust to people's personalities.
It's like babysitting, right?
In a way it is. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. I love all of my clients. All my clients are awesome. But it really is, especially when I have an individual that is maybe, more anxiety prone in the gym, or they deal with a lot of self-doubt. I have to go through a lot of processes of just like instilling self-belief in them. It's like, no, you can do this. Like, it seems hard right now, but it's just because you're barely starting. Look at where you started, look at where you are now. It's all about zooming out the perspective, right? But the job is just, it's not easy. And there's high turnover with clients. So that makes it a hard thing too, is like, okay, you might have 10 clients at one time. That's great. But you could lose 5 the next day. I remember I lost, I think 3 in the same day. I remember I lost one time and I told my mom, I was like, it'd be crazy if I lost like another client. And then in 2 hours, they texted me like, oh, money's a little bit tight right now. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I was just sitting there. I was like, okay, well, I'm doing like the finances and I'm like, okay, cool. And then me being pessimistic, or at least trying to make light in this dark moment, quote unquote. That's why my mom, imagine I lost the third one.
Oh.
And then that night I got a text
No.
and I just told my mom, I don't even know how to feel right now. I'm just going to go to bed. But it is a hard job. It is a hard job, but I do think sometimes there are personal trainers that don't take the job seriously.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they start to represent the grand majority of trainers. And I've had people, when I try to set up consultations with them, or I try to, the way I run my sessions, I feel sometimes that they might get intimidated or they feel this pressure, but it's because I do take my job seriously, especially as a business owner like you guys, right? If no one's going to take you seriously if you don't take yourself seriously.
Exactly.
You have to give yourself that respect, because at the end of the day, everyone can basically, I guess, disrespect you or not take you seriously. But if you know at the end of the day, you put in the work, you went home, and every time you look in the mirror, you have that satisfaction that you put in the work today, you can go to bed feeling rested. But as soon as that's gone, everyone else's opinions of you is going to influence you for the worst even more. You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly.
So yeah, I would say that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
It's so funny because this is me being like I don't know. I'm like the one that like speaks like conspiracies.
Okay.
But like, when they say don't speak it out into the universe.
Yep.
You
Oh
speak
my
no
God.
negative
Yeah,
because
she does it all the time.
and because he's very like,
He's
like,
pragmatic.
hey, no, it's gonna be great.
Oh, optimistic. Okay, awesome.
No, it's gonna happen. It's already in the bag.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, you don't want to ever speak it out because it will happen.
Got you.
Or if he's like, oh man, one of the drivers is gonna call out. I know it. If we have a vacation coming up, I'm like, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
And you know what? It happens. They call out, and here we are. Like last time we had a podcast.
I remember
the last podcast.
Yeah,
that we're
exactly.
gonna do.
And sure enough, one of them called out. I was like, so no, that's definitely true. I believe in that. But he makes fun of me. He makes fun of me, but he knows I'm right.
No, I get it.
Yeah, that's it's part of it's part of business. It's not always gonna run smooth. It's not gonna run steady. You're gonna run into speed bumps. Whether, like you said, customers are quit or take a pause or whatever. It's that's. I guess I didn't really think about it. Is that like one of the main things that clients cancel, or what are what are the main things that you notice
about like as to why clients might cancel?
Yeah.
Or I'd probably say, so at least the reasons that I've had, it tends to be potentially like finances. So I think it's also just because my demographic that I was previously trying to market myself towards. So most of my clients are probably in their late 20s now, early 30s. But when I first started, they were in college, and it was because that's who I had direct access to. Now they would be with me, for 2-3 months, maybe 6 months, but at some point the finances would maybe run dry a little bit, or hey, I got fired from my job, or I left my job. I went for another one. I need to stay an extra semester. My parents are going to help me pay. So I need to pay for that semester. I need to allocate my capital there. So it was really just, I would say, finances.
So I know that you mentioned that like the market is saturated
Yeah.
because, like you said, there's no qualifications to
Yeah.
become a personal trainer.
Yeah.
You could be self-taught and say, hey, I'll teach.
Well-
But do you think it makes a big or a huge difference, like if you're certified and you, like you said, how to read the studies, and like does that make a huge difference?
Yeah, I think so, because I think at the end of the day, to do this job, you need to have some sort of confidence. And I think knowledge leads to that confidence.
Yeah.
Because look, I'm all for the fake it till you make it, but at the end of the day,
You can tell.
I'm dealing with people's health here.
Yeah.
So I take it very seriously. And that's why, like, when it comes to the nutrition or diet, I tend to be a little bit more strict on it, right? But yeah, I think the certifications help. Don't like the idea that knowledge doesn't have its value, whether it's a college education or a certificate. I think I always had this belief that, so I think the average person lives to 75 years old, and there is thousands of years of knowledge. So it's just probability. It's impossible for us to ever know everything, right?
Right.
But why wouldn't you want to know as much as possible? Like, what is wrong with investing in yourself, first of all, and obtaining that knowledge and being able to utilize that knowledge to help others?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the knowledge will make the process much easier. I won't have to do as much guesswork. I think the thing is too with coaches is people or clients, should I say, will automatically look at someone's physique potentially. And if it is not up to par with their expectations or what they want to look like, they automatically disqualify the individual, even though that individual might be more knowledgeable and have gotten people in the past more results compared to another coach or client that, let's say, is way more muscular, leaner, ripped, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard something like that.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
No, yeah, but listen, I'm a girl, so I bring the gossip. But I didn't even get my proper intro. Okay, I get, guys.
We got the cheeseman coming here.
Okay, no. So there was something going on in a gym, and I guess one of the personal trainers was knocking on another one because of the way that they looked, and said, I don't even know why you're doing this, or whatnot. Like, look at you. You shouldn't even be talking to anybody about, because look at you. And I just thought that was not cool, right? Like, that's kind of what you mean. Like, you shouldn't base, I don't really know what the person looked like, but I guess there was some drama like that. And I guess it was just because the guy was like super like ripped or something.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Like, that's messed up, right?
So, yeah, I would say it's messed up, but I mean, also the reality is it's like there does have to be some proof in the pudding.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the beautiful thing about fitness, is because you can tell when an individual has put in the work, right? Whether it's a client or a trainer.
Yeah.
Now, I think people have a misunderstanding of correlation versus causation, right? So causation would be in the example of, like, because this person A or trainer A is ripped, he will be like Einstein level of science, physiology. But that is not true. It might be correlated because he might have gotten that physique through knowledge, but it's not a 100% indication that they are causing one another. And with that mindset, I try to look at the situation and I say, well, if the trainer is, let's say, obese, right? Well, let's go extremes, obese. Well, I mean, you are an obese individual trying to help other obese individuals not be obese, right? Kind of sounds a little bit contradicting, right?
Yeah.
Now, I have heard stories of trainers that had great physiques and they went through some really crazy traumatic experiences and put on like 50 to 100 pounds. I have seen it on social media. So with that in mind, I do know there's exceptions. So I try not to generalize.
I guess you could say it could be like a case by case scenario.
It's 100% a case by case basis. But I do think, like, general rule of thumb, it's like, does the personal trainer look like they work out?
Right.
Like, do they look fit? Do they look like they can run a mile? Like, do they look like they can bench press? Like, just do the normal,
or I mean,
stuff.
it could even just be an age factor, right? I mean, there could be somebody that's, in
I'm
their
sorry,
50s or 60s.
but there's some people that are in their 50s or 60s and they look really
No.
Yeah,
good.
but
Yeah.
but it's like, I've seen it, on social media.
Yeah.
There's trainers that are, in their 60s or 70s that, in their prime time, they were in great physique and stuff, but now they're older and, they're passing on their knowledge that they've
Exactly.
gained, through
Exactly.
trial and error and life,
Yeah, and I think like in that instance with individuals that are older, like you said, it's the experience that matters, that they can relay that to their clients. And I think they will also just appeal to the demographics of the older individuals as well.
Yeah.
So because the reality is, right, people want to assimilate with other individuals that they feel close to or that they can relate to.
Right.
So if the trainer is older, probably other older individuals will know, hey, this guy or this woman is older. So that person has gone through the things that I'm currently going through. Maybe they have the answer. Compared to maybe if an older individual sees me, they'll blame my physique on my metabolism, my genetics, my youth, right?
Mhm.
Instead of maybe seeing it through the lens of, okay, he might be young, but he's trained his grandparents before. He's trained two other older individuals. He's helped them with knee pain, back pain, right? So it's just case by case
Exactly.
basis.
Yeah, no,
It really is.
definitely.
Yeah.
You know what? One of the things that I looked out for
Mhm.
when I know I mentioned this to you because
Yeah.
I was looking. I
Yeah,
was
I know.
looking.
Yeah.
And I was like,
You were looking at all the
I'm-
trainers.
I was
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
I'm
she
over here like,
was.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not listening, I'm watching. It's just paying attention
Mhm.
because I don't care what they look like. It's not about what you look like. I like to see, okay, what kind of a trainer are you? Are you stepping away? Are you not paying attention? Are you on your phone? Are you yapping or talking?
Mhm.
Whatever, which is all good things. It's all fine for
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
For me, I'm like, I want to know that I'm working with someone that will actually work with me.
Attentive.
And I was watching Sebastian and I was like, okay, this guy, he's over there. He's like, move your foot, this and that. No, like directing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
drill sergeant over there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you were like, not on your phone. You were just like, you're
Yeah.
focused. Like
Yeah.
you're just doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
Like,
You're there to work.
yeah. Yeah. He was
100%.
there to focus on his person. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I want. That's what
Yeah.
I'm looking for,
Mhm.
But that's me looking and now I gotta ask you a question.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
And I hope I get the right what type of clients do you love working with the most?
Okay, so
Pressure here.
no, no
Okay.
pressure, no
I
pressure.
wanna-
No, not at all,
yeah,
not at all.
Earmuffs.
Not at all, not at all. I think I try to not just break down the ideal client by whether they're a beginner or more advanced or what their physical goals are, but I think by their character, because I think their character is going to dictate how well they are going to get results. So if I encounter someone that is very combative, constantly questions my knowledge or my ability to get people results, it will just continuously feel like an uphill battle. And I know that it just won't work out for both of us.
I could see how that would get annoying. It's like, okay, what are you doing? You pay me to train you
Yeah.
and guide you, but then you're over here questioning
Yeah.
or, going against everything that I'm telling you
Yeah.
to do.
And also, I just want to add the caveat. I was like, I'm not trying to head into the direction of like authoritarianism, where I'm just like, no, I am the authority. You can never question anything that I do. I have clients question me all the time. Why do you do this? Or why did you set up the calories this way? Or whatever it may be. But when it is like an everyday thing or an every hour thing or whatever the case may be, then I start to question, okay, maybe I didn't pick the right client, or maybe this client and I won't be able to get them to their goals because they require a different coaching style. So for me, I look for integrity. I look for respect. I look for the ability to be coachable. And one of the
Yeah.
things too is just one thing that I'm super proud of. So the name of my business is Team Gallardo Coaching. And the reason I named it a team at the beginning is because I do want to have enough clients to where we all interact together, whether it's in a group chat on the app that you use, and we build a community together. And the
Yeah.
reason is because I want to have a team of like-minded individuals. Now, do I mean exactly like-minded like myself? Not really, but I mean they want to constantly be better versions of themselves. And those are the only people that I want on my team.
It'll in a sense, it's like, you bring in your knowledge, your background, and then everybody else obviously has different upbringing,
Always.
different, lifestyles. And then whoever comes and new into that community,
Yep.
then they'll be able to be like, oh, I can relate to that person
100%.
because like, I'm a single dad and
100%.
I have kids and,
Yeah.
and I'm working all the time.
Yep.
So there's no excuse,
Yeah.
So rather than someone just looking at you is like, well, what do you know? I mean, you're not in my
Yeah.
position.
I think one thing that I at least people watching this video is like, don't even just take my word for it. Like if you were to ask my clients, I would hope that they would have enough good things to basically tell them, like the viewer, no, Sebastian is who he says he is, or like the
Right.
way that he coaches, like he does what he practices what he preaches. And I do want to build a community at some point of like
Mhm.
these really like-minded individuals that just want to continuously improve. Yeah.
Yeah, but I will say this as your client,
Hmm.
I would find it very, very difficult to believe that someone's like gonna say anything negative about the way that you coach. Let me explain. I have been the one that's like, but I'm craving it like in and out, or like, and he's never gonna tell me, no, you're not gonna eat it now, or no, this and that. No, he's like, okay, well, let's look at it this way. Okay, let's just say you're craving in and out that day. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna look at your calories and you're gonna say, what are you gonna do that day? Let's just say you're gonna go to Knott's with your kids, which I do often. I think I mentioned.
Yeah.
That's why he brought it up that way.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you know you're gonna go to Knott's, you have the burger before you walk into Knott's, and that way you get your steps in. But now you have to count that burger against your calorie
Yep.
intake.
Let's
So
go, Sandra.
She's definitely gotten a whole lot better with her consistency and just being driven and sticking to a plan.
Yeah.
And I can attest to it because I mean the last couple of weeks, we started meal prepping.
Yep.
And now it's become like a team effort.
I like the we part. That sounds plural.
Well, you're
I'm
not
just
the only
kidding.
one in there.
I'm kidding. No, he does
Yeah,
help.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
really
So like,
helpful.
we get in there and then we'll knock out like, 2 or 3 days of meals. I'm kind of piggybacking
Yeah.
off of, what she's doing.
Yeah.
I just kind of, bump it up a
Of
little bit
course.
more. But it does help. It does, like, when it's structured and you see it on paper, it's not, it's there, it's physical. You go with it
Mhm.
and it makes, even your day to day a lot easier because I mean, we're busy. Sometimes, it'll be, like we mentioned, we might have an appointment or I have to go cover and stuff. Now I don't have to worry about that. If I have to go out, then I know, okay, well, my lunch, and if I get back late, there's my dinner. It's ready to go. Versus, that was one of our biggest problems where what are we gonna eat? And sometimes we would just go for whatever was the most convenient for us.
Yeah.
Sometimes it never really aligned with what we were supposed to eat.
Yeah.
So I know that that's something that I know it's really helped out Sandy, where she has a plan and she's executing it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's structured. But see, if I had gone in and done the same thing by myself, it wouldn't have been the same
Mhm.
because I've done that before. But as you've taught me, like, just because you're eating healthy doesn't mean you're eating healthy. You could be
Yeah.
eating healthy foods,
Yeah.
but if you're not
The
weighing your
calories,
food,
yeah,
if you're not
yep.
if
Yeah.
you're not being held accountable
Yeah.
for what you're eating too much of this or too much of that, or
Yep.
that's too much high fat. If you have like all these nuts and you could have had, instead of that, a whole meal,
Yep.
because that's high fat, things
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
It's just like tweaking your brain. So sometimes you do need that help,
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
I've learned. That's why I'm like, if you've had to be really, really just negative with your own self, because it's not with the world, it's just
Yeah.
with you, to not take the information and just run with it.
Yeah.
So I could see how they could be difficult to work with certain people
Yeah,
and
for
whatnot.
sure.
But and it's always like, well, maybe they're going through something and whatnot, but you gotta, cut the cord at some
You
point
gotta
and say,
cut the shit, honestly.
yeah, at some point, but he can't talk to clients like that. I feel like it's like at some point you have to cut the ties with certain
Yeah.
people
No,
too,
and I've done
just
that.
the vice versa
I've done that
thing.
before where unfortunately I just have to come to the conclusion where I might have helped an individuals or an individual or group of individuals get close to their goals, but I realize this last portion, I'm just not the right coach anymore.
Right.
I'm not the right trainer. And for me, I have to, because I always kind of go by the belief like I don't want to give up on people. Like that's just in my nature. So if I had to come to the decision where I can no longer work with someone or a group of people, it's because I have already gone through the route in my head and
Mhm.
it's not going to work out for the both of us. So I'd rather them continue to get results with someone else and me continue to help other people. And it's a win-win in that
Because
situation.
I kind of feel like it would also kind of like mess with your brand, right? Like if someone is like, if you're giving them the tools, you're giving them the guidance, but they're not,
Yeah.
executing it, it's almost kind of messing with your brand, right? Because now some people, are saying, well, damn, that person's been working out with, training with you for
Mhm.
so long and they still look the same.
I don't think they can look at it that way though, right?
I
Because it's like
I
it's
try to look for try to look at it from the lens of everything I do is out of good faith. And everything that I do is to try and get the client's results, right? If I leave the situation kind of like going to bed knowing that I respect myself, that I put in the work, in this situation, it's the exact same. It's okay, the business relationship is
Mhm.
no longer active. That's fine. But did I leave it knowing that I put in the work? If I can say yes, then it is what it is. I gotta
Mhm.
move on.
Yeah,
There's other people that can then help that
right.
need it drastically, and I'm here to help them.
And
So
that
Right.
frees up your time too.
Yeah, for
That
someone
yeah.
that's gonna put in the work.
yeah. So let's just say, and I kind of, you know, one, I'm sure even people that could be watching this, what's something that a person is in a position where they know that they want to have a personal trainer, but they don't know, where to start or what to do. What are some of the things that someone that's looking for a personal trainer, like what should they be looking in or ask? What questions should they be asking?
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a great question. The first thing I would look at is, does that person have like at least two transformations or like two pictures of two different individuals that have gotten results? I would say preferably one man and one woman. So then okay, he's worked with both, or
Mhm.
he or she has worked with both. The second thing would be some sort of reviews, right? Doesn't really necessarily matter how long ago they were, but just like real proof, right?
Mhm.
The third thing would be, what is their process like? I know sometimes like trainers will just give their prices up front. They won't try to have a consultation. I've turned clients away on consultations. I have People have asked me what are my prices, and I tell them it's a big range because I have different packages depending on what your needs are. And the reality is, I don't even know if I can take you on because I don't know if I can help you. I remember distinctly there was this one individual came to me trying to lose weight. Super happy to help. We hopped on a consultation call, and one of the questions that I asked to see if that individual was a prospect for me was, what have you tried to do in terms of losing weight, right? Do
Mhm.
you know what a caloric deficit is, et cetera, et cetera? And the individual proceeded to tell me, yeah, well, the caloric deficit doesn't apply to me. Like my body just doesn't operate that way. And that was only about like 10 minutes into an hour consultation. I already knew for the next 50 minutes, I just have to kind of get through it because I disqualified that person already. You cannot tell me that something that has been proven and is what we call the law of thermodynamics.
Mhm.
Calories are obviously a nutritional question, but it's also like a physics question. Like it's energy. Energy
Mhm.
can be stored or passed on, but it cannot be destroyed. So calories is a measurement of energy. So for that individual to say that they are an exception to the rule that the world lives
Yeah.
on, in
Yeah.
my mind was, I cannot overcome delusion as a personal trainer. As much as I want to help this individual, they are putting this blockade that I will never be able to penetrate. Never
Right.
ever. So I would say, see if the trainer offers consultations and if they're free. Some trainers don't offer free consultations, and I understand why. The reason is people cancel last minute.
Mhm.
People don't show up. They don't respect the trainer's time. So I understand why they do that. At this moment, mine are free. And I would just recommend to hop on a call, 30 minutes or an hour with that trainer, pick their brain. Do they have any certifications? How long have they been doing this? What is their ideal client? What situations have they run into in the past with their clients? Maybe talk about their coaching styles to see if that is, how do I say, mixing well with the client themselves. So those are a couple of questions I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
And those are great questions to
Yeah.
think about. Yeah. And I remember the Zoom call
The
that we
consultation.
had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is different. Like
Yeah.
it felt like you were interviewing me. And I liked that
Yeah.
because I was like, okay, so he really wants to get into the nitty-gritties of,
Yeah.
of what we need
Do
as
you,
a
Yeah.
do you feel like it's a lot different from having like a personal trainer, doing one-on-one versus hiring an online coach?
So on my consultation calls, I always offer both packages. I will obviously steer the individual into the one that I think will lead them to the best results in the shortest amount of time. But in terms of in person and online, it's always going to be case by case basis. Um, and there's always pros and cons. So in person, it's going to tend to be, for a trainer, their most premium packages, right? Because you're paying not just for the knowledge, you're paying for time.
Yeah.
Time is something that you can never get back, so it holds the most value monetarily. The trainer is going to charge the most for an in-person session, right? Depending on what packages they have. The online, it's going to be a more affordable option. You have access to them in terms of obviously text messages, et cetera, et cetera. But you don't have that in-person session with them, right? So I always tell people you can get great results off of both packages. I've had individuals that are beginners that were online lose 30 pounds in 3 months, 4 months, right? They can do it. But I think it comes down to the individual once again.
They're
They
learning
were
how
willing
they
to
learn.
learn. They were willing to understand and go in like, okay, maybe the in-person, it's a little bit too premium for me at this point in time, but I care enough about my goals that I want to invest in myself still. The online might be difficult, but I need the help. At this
At
amount of
least,
money that I have to spend on the online training, I'm going to have to allocate it to that from something else, and that's end of discussion. You know, that's really just the decision that the individual has to come to when it comes to online versus in person. Obviously, if like I had a consultation with someone from Chicago, right? They were interested in online coaching. That was a good opportunity, right? She's not going to fly here for an in-person training
right.
session.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but just case by case basis. Yeah, I think there's always pros and cons.
But going into now, I love watching your videos that you post because some are very informational and some of them like you're just like cut the shit. Let's talk about this. And I just like I learned a lot from them. But one of the ones that I want to talk about is what's the biggest myth about working out that needs to die already? Just end it.
There's so
Like
many because
there's
there's just so many
many.
like BS things on Instagram that I see, but I'd
Yeah.
probably say the biggest one is I don't have time to work out.
Mm,
Like the idea that you need to be in the gym for 2-3 hours, right? And
yeah.
I know we've had this discussion before. You enjoy that, right? And I'm not going to be the coach that says, no, you need to listen to everything I say. You can't enjoy the gym. Like I'd rather you be in the gym than you're at the bar or you're at the club doing things that aren't
Right.
Yeah.
conducive to your goals, right?
Mhm.
But for an individual that is, has a set schedule with a 9 to 5 or a blue collar job, they're working 12 hours a day, right? You don't need to be in the gym for 2-3
For
fucking
2
hours. You can get in a great session in under an hour.
Mhm.
But it all honestly comes down to the programming of the workout, understanding how well you are recovering from those workouts. And are you doing everything in your power outside of the gym to basically allow you to have a good workout? Because like I
Yeah.
always tell you, right? Um, I honestly think everything that you do outside of the gym is the most important thing. Like when
Yeah.
it comes to the nutrition, when it comes to the recovery, stress management, especially,
Mhm.
it's going to make working out so much more enjoyable and it's going to allow you to get quicker results for sure.
Right. Especially making sure you eat breakfast before glutes.
Yes.
I
Please
almost
have your
died
carbs
twice.
before working
Yeah.
out. Please don't show up nauseous
Yeah.
to our
Oh my
sessions.
God. The first workout we had, we didn't the first time we worked out on glutes, I almost died. I didn't want to say
Well,
anything because I was embarrassed. I was telling Alex, like, I was so embarrassed.
I mean, it didn't help either that, she getting there, she got a Celsius.
Oh
On an
yeah,
empty
no,
stomach.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, no. But I was sweating and it was like cold and I was nauseous and I was dizzy and I was like, he's like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
But then he's like, "But did you have breakfast?" I'm like, "No." And that's how
There
I
you go.
learned.
But no, yeah, now she got, I mean, I guess, you have to sometimes learn the hard way, but now, she's definitely a lot better now
Yeah.
and like, all right, get your carbs and get, before you go and work out. So yeah, but it goes back to the structure. I feel like a lot of times when people can, there's a lot of information or, we can access a lot of information, you can
Absolutely.
go on ChatGPT and you could tell like, make me a workout plan.
Of course.
But then it's very, and you can go into details and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's like, let's just say, you're a business owner, you're so busy, running your business and, doing the family thing or whatever. A lot of times, you don't have the mindset or the time to really sit down there and know, okay, what do I need to do or how do I need to structure myself to work around my lifestyle, and that's where someone like you comes in. You taking the information that we provide you,
Yep.
and then you can like customize it to say, all right, with what you're telling me, this is what would
This
work
is a good
best
plan
for
that we
you.
could try out. Yep.
Just like with Sandy, you told her, okay, you like to go to Knott's with your kids. All right. Before you go to Knott's, eat your meal and then walk it off.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I think this next question will really kind of solidify all that, because this is like the most important thing right here that I can't stress enough, right? Like, I know I talk about it all the time, and listen, this alone right here will say it. Like, why do you need a personal trainer? This is exactly why. Okay. Because how important is form versus weight, right? Because
Yeah.
for me, it's like I had to learn that the hard way, because like I was lifting heavy. I know I spoke about this last episode, but I'm like, I was lifting heavy and I was like, yeah, let's go. I was working out for like an hour or two almost, and like going
she was going
crazy.
power lifter
Like
mode over
I
there.
was like lifting different, like focusing on different muscles. It was no organization. And the next day I was so fucked up that I would stop working out for the rest of the week. And then I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Right. And then once we started working out, I was like, oh, okay, now this is how you do it or whatnot.
So surprise, surprise, it's both.
Oh, okay.
So the reason is it kind of is like a case by case basis. So when it comes down to wanting to build muscle, our bodies are insane machines. Like they have the ability to adapt very quickly, right? So I can lift an egg 100 times, right? And I might get the same pump as doing, a bicep curl of 30 pounds, right? Only 10 times or 5 times. But at the end of the day, the 30 pounds is going to be adding more stress to me. And then if I increase the weight over time, that's what we call progressive overload, right? Because you need to be able to recruit more muscles. You build muscle, you recover, right? So you need to progressively get stronger in the gym. So of course the number is going to matter. But the caveat to that is if you are progressing too quickly in terms of going up in weight too quickly, some of the problems the number one problem that happens is the form that we have standardized is no longer standardized. And we start to fall into what's called compensatory patterns. So like an easy example of that is when you were squatting, right? When you came to me saying that you have knee pain.
Yeah.
And as soon as we hopped on the hack squat, and as soon as you get onto the hack squat and you tell me what weight you were doing previously, as soon as you were under that weight and you were doing the first rep, one of your knees, the one that was hurting specifically, starts to cave in. So you're putting pressure on your ligaments and tendons. So what does that tell me? You're not recruiting the correct muscles. The form isn't standardized. So your form is breaking down, which is leading to this nagging problem that you've had for months now. So what is the first step? Lower the weight. Could you probably do the heavier weight? Potentially, but I would rather lower the weight, standardize the form, and then maintain that form as we start to increase. So the reality is it really is both. Now, there is this argument in what we call the science-based community. So in the fitness industry, we have what's called like bro science, where it's like, just eat your chicken and rice, eat a surplus, like build muscle, like hoorah, like caveman type mentality.
Yeah.
Very
This sounds
simplified.
like your videos.
And then you have the science-based community where everything is driven by studies. If there is no study, then it cannot be true because it cannot be proven. If there has not been a scientific process with a hypothesis, conclusion, experiment, then it's not real. But I think there's a lot of nuance, and I think the reality lies in both communities. The science-based community in this instant would say, something along the lines of, when you are trying to build muscle, like you need to progressively overload, and it doesn't necessarily matter that the form is the best and that the sensation of, the burning in the muscle mind muscle connection doesn't really matter, right? Because the reality is, right, I can bicep curl the air or an egg 100 reps. I feel the same mind muscle connection as like the 30-pound dumbbell. Or if I do the 30-pound dumbbell and I don't feel anything, the only way that I'm able to move the dumbbell is by recruiting the muscles in my bicep.
Right.
So whether you feel the sensation or not, the exercise is being executed correctly. So therefore, that means that the muscle is being recruited, even if you don't feel it. But someone on, let's say, the bro science would say, no, mind muscle is important, or it is everything, because how do you know you're hitting the muscle actively if you don't feel it, right? What I like to tell people is it's in the middle. So I think you should be able to feel the target muscle that you're trying to hit. So if you're squatting and you feel it in your quads, you're doing a great job. If you feel it majority in your lower back, for example, something is wrong. You need to stop. You need to lower the weight. You need to standardize the form. So that's why it's a case by case basis. And I think both are important. It's just kind of like I like to see it as kind of two bars, and as each one is increasing, meaning your form gets better or the weight gets heavier, it's like the weight will get heavier and the form will decrease a little bit, but then you standardize the form with that weight. Then you increase the weight. The form might not be as beautiful, but you get accustomed to that weight. Your nervous system gets accustomed to holding that weight, and then your form gets better. So it's just you want to constantly be improving both,
Right.
because if the weight is just improving, but your form doesn't acclimate the exact same, then I just don't see the
And I'm
point.
assuming with time, that's when injuries happen, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's why I kind of talk about like compensatory patterns with my clients often is like, obviously, I want to have them increase weight, whether it's every other week or every 3 weeks. That is like a good timeline that I set for my clients. I still focus heavily on what the form is looking like.
Yeah. And I think that's important because I know I learned the hard way because I messed up my knee and my back. But it's just like same thing. It came down to, well, your foot needs to be completely flat,
Yeah.
and it's as simple as, well, you lift your toe, that's it, you're hurt. So definitely form,
Yeah.
but it sometimes it's also like ego boost. Like
Of
just
course.
because it's
Of
like I
course.
lift
Everyone loves
super
to lift heavy
heavy,
every once in a
yeah.
while. Yeah. And I mean, who I go into the gym every once in a while, and I honestly sometimes I throw on weight that I know I can't be doing with good form, but it's because I don't do it all the time, and I just want to challenge myself. I think that's where the nuance is. There's nothing necessarily wrong with having every couple of weeks or whatever that one session where maybe you had a really difficult day and you're like, you know what, kind of the form goes out the window, and I just want to lift some heavy ass weight. Okay, go for it. Just obviously within your limits where you don't injure yourself.
Right.
But yeah, it's always in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know that's like one of the big ones, but at least for me it was. But I know the number one thing that I want to focus on
Mhm.
next, and I know a lot of the people that watch us, they have a lot of questions on nutrition. That's one of the biggest
Yeah,
things. And with so much information out there, especially on social media, they're like,
yeah.
do the keto diet, do the what's the other one, the carnivore
Carnivore diet.
diet,
Yeah.
do it's just like they don't know where to go, you
Yeah.
know. So I guess we can talk about, what do most people get wrong about nutrition when trying to lose weight initially, just getting started. What is one thing that they should look out for just to get started?
I think if the word diet is included, it's
Mhm.
automatically wrong.
Okay.
I don't, because it's like, I don't know, whenever I think of diet, I automatically think of, okay, which food group are we removing? Are
Right.
we going to antagonize fruits and vegetables?
Mhm.
Are we going to antagonize carbs?
So it's
What are we going to
like a
antagonize here?
fat, right?
Yeah. So, because in my mind, it's like, okay, so if diet is attached to a word or a vocabulary, whatever, what are we villainizing? What are we antagonizing here?
Right.
Because the reality is nothing is essentially bad for us in a
Mhm.
way. It always comes down to the quantity. For example, and the other thing too is all of these diets work. They all work, but for a certain amount of time.
That's
The
my
reason they
favorite
don't
part.
work forever, I'll go into it. So the reason it works is because let's take the carnivore diet. You focus on only red meat. You don't eat any carbs, right? You
Mhm.
focus on fats and red meat. Okay, so I am eliminating 1/3 of the macronutrients because we have carbs, protein, and fats. So
Right.
I'm eliminating carbs. So my chances of over splurging or overeating calories has already gone down significantly because I'm removing a whole macronutrient group, right? Now, let's say you get the results. It works until it doesn't. Meaning the carnivore diet works until you realize you have digestive problems because you have no fiber in your diet. You realize that your LDL cholesterol has gone up because you were eating so many saturated fats from red meat. And the same is with the keto diet. We're removing carbs, right? But then you realize that your body's feeling more fatigued because when there are many different pathways to form glycogen, and glycogen is the body's preferred, or it's the energy that we use, right, when we work out. It's stored in our liver and our muscle cells. You can technically get glycogen from protein and fats, but the body's ideal pathway is from carbohydrates. And carbohydrates all have a numerous amount of benefits. Like fibers are included in the carbohydrate group. And we all know fiber leads to better digestion, lower cholesterol, higher HDL cholesterol, which is the good one. And it also helps with satiety, which will aid in people trying to lose weight. So there's no reason to fear carbohydrates.
And that's like the misconception that a lot of people, they're like, oh well, I can't have rice or I can't have,
Yeah.
carbs because, it's just going to fill me up. And, like you said, people would preferably go high protein and fats and then,
Like
go to
very
the
low
low.
carbs. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that that's, at least for me, like that was like my thought process.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'd rather eat as much protein as I
Yeah.
can and then, very little carbs. But,
Yeah.
I did notice that, like, I was usually tired,
Mhm.
especially, working out,
Yep.
you didn't get that pump or that,
You feel flat all the time.
exactly.
And the other thing too is what happens is when carbs are broken down and you have glycogen storages, right? A lot of it is going to be water. A huge part of, I think, the glycogen molecule is mainly water. So if we were to remove carbs from our diet, the individual will most likely see, 10 to 15 pounds lost maybe in the first couple of months. But the unfortunate reality is a lot of it is just water.
Yeah.
But then they go on the scale and they're like, oh, this is definitely
Exactly.
working.
Obviously, when you lose water weight, you do look a little bit leaner, right? That's why, like bodybuilders, for example, they have a water cutting phase where they look very dehydrated and depleted, but it's to get that grainy look. You, as an individual who just wants to look sexy on the beach, why are you depleting yourself of water?
Yeah.
70% of our muscles is water.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, like you said, because a lot of them want to look ripped or jacked,
Yeah.
but they don't understand, like
They
you
don't
said.
know. It's just the physiology, like the basic, like how the body kind of works and what the different parts of the body are composed of, I would say.
Right. Yeah. And I've done the keto diet
Yeah.
like years ago.
Yeah.
And did I lose weight? Yes, I did. But it's like you always say, it's just not sustainable.
Mhm.
You have to find something that's sustainable. And it really wasn't.
Yeah.
Because after some time, your body lets you know, like, this isn't working. So once you go back and you eat the carbs and you bring everything back, even if you're doing it in a healthy way, which I wasn't, but I like shot up
Yeah,
in
of
weight,
course.
double what
Yep.
I lost,
Yeah.
and that was
We've
hard.
we've even been vegans at one time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was even harder.
And that, I mean, it was good because, you can carb up,
For sure.
but then,
Usually you like protein when you're on the vegan diet.
Yeah.
And it's a
exactly.
lot harder. Yeah.
You can only eat,
I was always
tofu for
hungry.
so much,
Yeah.
and you're just like,
It just takes a lot more work because at least I've never trained anyone or created a meal plan for vegans, but I probably would never because if I ever had someone that was vegan, I'd probably be like, I can't help you because I'm not a vegan myself. But the thing is, when it comes to proteins, not all proteins are created equal.
Right.
So you have essential amino acids and then you have non-essential amino acids. One of the essential amino acids that is the most important for muscle protein synthesis, which is the process of building muscle, is called leucine. And leucine is found in red meats, chicken, basically animal products, and whey protein. If you remove those and you are going strictly into a vegan diet, a lot of the protein that you might be eating, like let's say beans, for example, have protein, but it's not a complete protein, meaning it doesn't contain all 9 essential amino acids. So what the individual will then have to do is research, okay, what foods have the essential amino acids or have the amino acids that the other foods don't, and now I can eat them together just to get a full set of amino acids. Compared to us, where you're eating meat, animal products, you don't have to worry about that because you've already gotten all of that from your meats and chicken.
Yeah, I know there's like, the people that have been on those diets, and like they're lacking certain vitamins and then they end up getting sick.
Yeah, usually it's gonna be like vitamin B12 too.
Yeah, they're definitely, now they got to take supplements.
Mm-hmm.
So to the best of your knowledge, like, what do you recommend? Like a standard American diet, or
Hell no, fuck no. The Western diet is the worst diet I see. Because I mean, what is the Western diet at this point? The Western diet, is it keto?
Oreos.
Is it carnivore? What is it? Because there's just so many damn diets. So yeah, no, I'm more of a Wendy's guy
American.
myself, if I do say. But when it comes down to the
cheeseburgers, huh?
the cheeseburgers from Wendy's,
because they taste. Look,
I always
we're not
get-
promoting unhealthy eating, but
no, I'm
sometimes every
promoting
now and
unhealthy
then-
eating. Get
Yeah, get those
a
10Ds.
3x3 Baconator burger with
Oh, you were talking about
with the Baconator fries, and then get a side of Diet Coke, because that's what makes it healthy, because it's 0 calories, right? It balances out. and then get the spicy sriracha sauce or the spicy ghost pepper sauce. That's my
You know
go-to
what
order.
that's no, you know what it is? It's the meat. Like I don't know what
Wendy's
it
meat
is.
is just good. Pause.
It's
But
Whoa.
Wendy's meat is good. It's good.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, like McDonald's is like so disgusting to me, and my kids love that shit, and I
Yep.
don't
That's
know
because it's
why.
fresh. It's never frozen.
It's usually they say so. They say so. They say.
I
Allegedly.
don't know what
Yeah.
it is that it just. But Wendy's, even okay, I will even prefer Burger King over McDonald's.
You know
Oh,
what?
for sure.
I will say
Yeah.
this. I just seen how we all just lit up as soon as we started talking about fast food.
No, but you see, that's normal. Like that's
Yeah.
just part of the being a normal American, I would say.
Yeah.
But look, so when it comes to the standard Western diet, right? Colon cancer is on the rise in younger
Mhm.
individuals. Cancers in general,
Yeah.
obesity, cardiovascular disease, early death, and what is one of the reasons, right? The reason is the diet, the Western American diet or the Western civilized diet,
That's
whatever.
sad.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there we go. So what I would say for the average person to not have to worry about that is get in adequate amount of protein. We already have lots of information on why that's important. Get in a lot of fiber, like minimum 30 grams a day.
But like, what would you consider fiber?
Fiber, yeah. So fiber, that's the thing is fiber is the stuff that we've been told to eat our whole lives. Get your fruits and veggies. Get your broccoli. Get your legumes. So like beans, lentils. Lentils, I think for like 150 grams or 100 or 200 grams, it's probably about like 15 or 20 grams of fiber. So in one sitting, you've already almost hit your daily intake. And I'd probably say to just limit saturated fats. Too much red meat, obviously. Anything like lard, animal-based products. I would also say we have a big problem with what's called the omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids ratio.
Mhm.
So the omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids are polyunsaturated fats, and they are important in bodily functions. Now, the American diet is very high in omega-6 fatty acids. That's going to come from things like vegetable oils, I think animal products as well, so like red meat. And we are very low in omega-3 fatty acids.
Mhm.
So omega-3 fatty acids are going to come from things like tuna, salmon, mackerel. You ever seen those fish oil supplements?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Those
Yeah.
are good. They help. They're good for heart. I think they kind of thin out the blood, so they help against heart problems, things like that nature. And I'd also say that omega-3s for women is super important, just
Mhm.
like iron. I have some clients that are iron deficient that are women. I always tell them you have to be making sure you're taking your iron supplements. Make sure take some omega-3 fatty acids.
Is the
Yeah.
omega-3 like more like for like their like to regulate the hormones?
Yeah,
or-
so I would say when it comes down to hormones, I mean, I feel like it's no surprise that women's are going to be a little bit more difficult to
we're gonna
manage.
go buy. We're going to Costco. We're gonna get the big jar of omega-3s. Okay.
Yeah.
And then so
That
Were you
went
guys
right
talking
over-
smack? I was
That went
reading-
literally
No,
right over her
no.
head.
I was reading something. What did you guys talking smack?
No,
I'm
it's
on my
because
back.
it's because Sebastian's saying that omega-3 regulate the hormones.
yeah, they're very important
Oh.
for hormones in general. So for women, it's going to be even more important.
I know where you're
Okay.
going with that.
But no, yeah. So I would say just a couple of those, and just when it comes to the exercise, just walk a little bit more. Like
Mhm.
if an individual is getting 10K minimum a day, it's an arbitrary number,
Mhm.
right? I've had people lose weight on 6K steps, but it's because they were just so sedentary that 6K steps was already like getting them the progress that they were looking for.
Right.
So we didn't even have to increase too much. But for a person that is just looking to get results, just aim for 8 to 10K, and then throw in some cardio, maybe start at like 150 minutes a week and then divide that up throughout how many days you want to do. And then maybe work your way up to like 300 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
a
most
week.
people can do it like during their lunch break, right? Where they go, they eat their lunch.
That's what I would do when I was working my corporate job. Usually by lunchtime I was at maybe 4,000 and I had like another 6,000 to go. But I knew if I can walk for 10, 20 minutes after I eat, my food's gonna digest better. It's called a digestion walk. And I'm gonna be able to get steps in. I'm hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. Why would I not do that?
Yeah.
And if I had an hour to do it, I still have a couple minutes to relax when I get back.
Yeah. And that's all it's all called balance.
It is, yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the issues now with, especially 9 to 5 people, is prioritizing yourself, just finding that balance,
Mhm.
especially like because it's gonna help you mentally, especially if you're at
Absolutely.
work, instead of sitting there chismeando, gossiping, hey, have your lunch, eat quickly, and then go for a walk or whatever, or after work, just prioritizing your time, prioritizing your meals, meal prepping, things like
Yep.
that, right?
Absolutely.
Uh, Yeah, we're almost hitting the end
Mhm.
of the podcast.
Yes,
But
yes.
before we end it,
Yeah.
I want to have some fun questions.
Yeah, okay. Let's
Because
do it.
so let's go back, hopping back into the gym.
Yeah.
What's your number one gym pet peeve that you have? Like one of the things that you're just like, oh, heck no.
Man, I'd probably say, oh, oh, I got one. Wear your fucking deodorant. Dude, I consider it a supplement at this point.
Huh.
I would go as far as like any new client I bring on, the list of supplements I give you, deodorant is gonna be on there.
Right.
Because I don't know why. I think I
Oh
got
my
it from
God,
my
I'm like,
dad. I'm
has it
super
been me?
no, I'm super sensitive to
I
smell.
always smell good.
Like I can smell from really far away.
Right.
And I've walked in other gyms, I've walked past people and it just smells rancid. And in my head, I'm just like, dude, use my stick. You could have
Yeah.
it. Like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So please wear deodorant. Like,
yeah.
I know you come from work sometimes, but always carry a stick of deodorant on you.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, or just stop by at the store or something.
No, literally.
No,
Yeah,
for real.
we just had that experience.
I don't want to talk about it. I
Today.
don't want to. I
At the
don't
24-hour
even know what I
fitness.
smelled. That's the
Yeah.
worst part. Like if you know what you're smelling,
It was a mixture of
Aces.
everything.
I don't know what I was smelling.
It was
Yeah.
like feet.
I don't
ass,
know.
like, it was
Like cheese. I don't know. We walked into the sauna. You know the sauna.
Yeah,
is
of
at
course.
Evolution.
Yeah, Evolution. Always very nice in there.
No. Okay. I walked into this sauna. First of all, it looks like a fishbowl. Everybody's
yeah.
just like looking,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So many people. Cool. I'm cool with that. I don't mind. Everybody, let's share. But when I walked in there, I was like, what is that smell?
Yeah.
I walked in and just like that, I walked out and
Yep.
I texted, I'm like, hell no, I'm not doing that.
Yep.
I don't know what I'm smelling. Chilling in there.
She just got so spoiled to Evolution
No,
because
of course.
it's it's one of the things that we even noticed was like one of the things that we love is the fact that everybody at Evolution is very mindful.
Absolutely.
You use the machine, wipe it
Clean
down.
it,
Yep.
Put
you
the
know.
weights back.
Mhm.
You
Put
know.
the
Even, like-
attachments back. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, she went. Well, we went to 24 today
Yeah, yeah.
because time frame,
No, of course.
and yeah, it's complete opposite of
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
And I think
Yeah.
it's, I don't know what it is, because I don't know if it's just that one specific. But it's just like,
It was horrible. I was trying to do RDLs and there was a lady sitting and I couldn't wrap my head around it. I'm like, listen, it's your journey and I respect it. But why do you need 15s, 10s, 20s, like all
Yeah,
around
yeah,
you like
yeah,
a
yeah.
pile? And I'm like, are you using the 20s? She's like, yes. I'm like, oh,
I guess
shoot.
it's safe to say that would be like a pet peeve.
No, for sure. Yeah. I mean,
that's my pet
I feel like
peeve.
2 sets of dumbbells is like max, but as soon as you hit 3 or 4, it's like,
No,
come
it was
on,
like
but
5.
nah.
I was like, no, there's definitely no need for that. But okay, another question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite music to lift to?
Probably some house music,
Okay.
some rap, and probably some perreo. Some
Okay.
reggaeton, yeah, probably. Yeah, I always got the Bad Bunny in there. Always
Oh,
got
yeah.
the Fercho. I got Raul Alejandro in there. Yeah, some of the older individuals, Daddy Yankee, all of them.
Oh
yeah,
my
so,
God, you
so-
took me back.
So it's just
Dang.
all the good music. It just
Flashbacks.
gets you in the mood,
Yeah.
Like puro perreo. Like
Oh
everything
my-
is just good. Yeah.
So this one time, I was in a quinceañera. I'm gonna make it quick. We're running out of time. I was in a quinceañera, my cousin's quinceañera. Shout out to Myra, and she was doing this Daddy Yankee song.
Yeah.
And listen, never mind. I take it back. I'm not gonna talk about it. It was just a horrible experience for me.
Yeah, I got
They
you.
did great. They did fantastic. But
Yeah.
I was just like, in my head, I'm like,
Did you
man,
like rip your dress or something, or
no, it was just like in my head, I'm like, yeah, I look good. We're doing the damn thing. And then when I look back and I saw the video, I'm like, fuck. I did not look like that in my
That
head.
tequila
like,
was doing the work. Yeah.
No, I was 15.
Oh,
well, yeah, that probably explains it.
Yeah,
But no, yeah, that takes me back to when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Daddy Yankees. Yeah, I mean, I know we ran out of time, guys, but I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed. And we didn't even get through a lot of the questions that I had.
Yeah.
Good.
But
okay.
I enjoyed having you today. I can say
Yeah,
that.
We
no,
could always do a part 2, guys.
Yes.
yeah, no,
all the
it
time.
was definitely a good experience, a good conversation.
Yeah,
that-
absolutely. Yeah.
there's so much to unwrap here. I feel like we just hit the surface of
We didn't even
this.
hit the peak of
Yeah.
like what it is.
Yeah.
you know.
And but this is why we're doing this.
Yeah, of
we
course.
we want to inform people.
Yeah.
We want to give good information, cut the BS, and, really just have people better themselves
Yeah.
and in every aspect, but I think the main thing and where it should start is with your health, with your
Yeah.
Sure,
person,
100%. Yeah.
because you can't go out into the world. You can't go and be a father, be a husband, be a a business owner, or a productive employee
Yeah,
Yeah. You gotta
if
get
you
your
don't
health
take
right.
care of
for
yourself.
sure.
Gotta get your mental right.
I will say this, at the end of the day, working out is a privilege. Getting a personal trainer is a privilege. I understand it's a
Definitely.
big financial investment, right? But at the end of the day, working out, right? As much as it is a privilege to get a gym pass, if you have the opportunity, it shouldn't be an option for you.
Mm-hmm.
The reason and why I say it that way is because there are people who, are quadriplegic. They can't walk. They have a terminal illness. They can't work out anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are a healthy individual, it is true you have the privilege to work out, but it shouldn't be an option. Like, you shouldn't abuse that privilege. You need to get yourself into the gym and make
Mm.
sure that you take advantage of that.
Well,
You know
damn,
what I
when
mean?
you put it like that.
Yeah, because
I mean, if that doesn't wake you up, I don't know what is.
it's unfortunate because I just see a lot of individuals that, uh, I see the potential in them. I see
Yeah.
what they can achieve, and they don't want to invest in themselves. Whether
Mhm.
it's not even with me, it's whether like just being consistent in the gym or meal prepping. Like, I don't even have to be a part of the picture. I could care less,
Mhm.
but just invest in yourself. Like just your life doesn't end after college. Life doesn't end after high school. Like, there are
Right.
going to be so many years, hopefully, of
Mhm.
healthy living.
Yeah.
And one of the best indicators of living a healthy life is having a lot of muscle or building muscle, being fit.
Exactly.
So
I
why would you not
see.
do that?
Yeah, I hear that all the time. It's like, okay, you get to that point where, okay, now you're married, now you have, you've passed all these, levels in life, but then
Milestone,
yeah,
Dan.
milestones, but then you have to think about, well, here come my grandkids. Will I be able to keep up with my grandkids? Will I be able to lift something and not, hurt my back or break my hip?
Absolutely.
So it's like that's my mindset now. It's not so much like I mean, yeah, I wanna look good, but,
No, of course.
like,
Yeah.
it's more like, okay, here comes my future. My kids are getting older, life is happening, and I wanna keep up with them,
You want that
right?
you want that great quality of life.
Is what's
Anybody can live up to, like you said, I mean, 75,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but then how's that going to look? Are you going to be on all these medications?
Mhm.
Are you going to be on dialysis?
Yeah.
Are you going to go through diabetes? You can live that long, but why not have a great quality of life by
Absolutely.
starting now and taking care of yourself and really extending that?
Yep.
And
100%.
family history too. Like if you already know your mama has diabetes, your dad has
Yep.
high blood pressure, your grandma, passed away of this or that or
Yep.
that, at least that's in my case. I'm like, I don't want to be that person. So I don't want to carry that on. I want to be
The
the one
exception.
that yeah, the one that
Changes it. Yeah,
changes,
of
and then,
course.
and then take that and pass it down to create change.
Mhm.
It's not about this or that. It's just like I wanna create change in a positive way for my kids, their future. It all
Mhm.
starts in my home that I've created. So
Of
it's
course.
like I have to pass it down because I know that our parents will try, the best that they can within the best of their abilities and their knowledge, and they were too focused on making it
Yeah.
and trying to learn the language. We talked
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that
of course.
earlier. It's
Yeah.
like they didn't have time to focus on all these things. They just went with what they knew.
Mhm.
That I wanna create that change with my kids
And it
now.
all comes back down to what you were talking about. It's the knowledge. Parents didn't have the knowledge that we have, the access to it
Yeah, for
in
sure.
many
And
aspects,
it was the least of their worries. The job is to bring in money, not to be healthy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like,
Mhm.
"Shit, just beans and put." I know
Frijoles,
me
tortillas,
yeah, yeah,
arroz, todo. Yeah.
exactly. So, even to this day, that's my family, like, if there's no beans, my dad's like, "Is that even
That's a
food?"
staple.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but no, I mean, overall, I think, this was such a great podcast.
Sebastian, I mean, we talked about, your, why you started,
Mhm.
getting to personal training.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, you from this conversation, that you know what you're talking about. You can back it up. You have the experience.
Mhm.
How does somebody get a hold of you, or how can somebody reach out to you?
Yeah, so usually I'd probably just do it through Instagram. So my Instagram is _who is Sebastian
Sebastian, yeah,
_.
yeah.
You can see my content on there. I try to post multiple times a week. My stories are always full of Sandra and my other
Yeah,
clients. I
yeah.
love
Mhm.
showing the progress that they're making and how happy they are with me. And it makes me happy to see that they're happy, you know, because
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
success is your guys' success.
And you also have a newsletter, right?
And I do have a newsletter. I do. We could probably just maybe put it on the like a link on there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, we could do
I
that.
have a newsletter. It's kind of like a creative outlet to just talk a little bit more about things that might be connected to fitness, but also maybe just something that has to do with society or psychology. Those are other topics that interest me a lot as well.
Yeah.
And you guys have read them
Yeah,
as well.
they're great.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
subscribe. You subscribe.
Yeah,
to it?
yeah,
I
I did.
appreciate
I
it.
did.
Thank you so
I
much.
did.
Yeah.
Did I do it right?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
But I went in there, I registered everything. But no, yeah, I mean, his information will be added on. We'll put the links and everything. Hit him up. And I mean, like I said, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain because you're working on yourself, you're investing in yourself, and this is a great way to start. Just Heavy to Hustle, that's what we're about, providing information, just bringing on people that we know that can bring value and that are knowledgeable and then know their stuff and that actually want to help. So that's what we're about. We want to reach out to everyone out there trying to make, hit those goals, make changes in their life, maybe something that they've been kind of procrastinating and they didn't believe in themselves. Well, we're here to tell you, cut the shit, let's go.
And you know what? And that, you know what? And that's what I'm gonna do too. I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna cut the shit.
Damn. I'm just kidding. Wait, hold on.
Yeah. I'm gonna cut the shit. I'm gonna, get it going, and I'm gonna, do my research, and I'm gonna find the personal trainer. I'm gonna find someone that's gonna coach me and really, get me to that next level. Obviously we got this far by, our grit and, doing the best that we can. But it's just like you hit that point where you're just like, okay, now it's getting a little harder. Now it's time to really narrow it down and get more strict on your program.
We have to see if you make the cut because Sebastian's not going to get
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
If you don't make the cut.
I still got to see
I know
if
you're
I'm
trying to
even
sneak it in there, but he's not going to get you because you have to be like,
you know what, dude? Like, you're too hard headed, man. Get out of here.
Listen, I didn't make the cut that, like I made it because I'm elite, but I don't know about you. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
You know what? Better cut her off.
That's fun.
All right, guys.
But yeah, that's it for our show.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No,
This is your show. Today
no,
is
I appreciate it.
all
You guys
about
are very
Sebastian.
kind. No, you guys are very sweet. It was a pleasure to be here. I hope you guys that are viewing found something of value here. I want you guys to remember that it's important to, of course, think big, but don't be afraid to start small. I think a lot of people, they have these big goals, but they think that big steps will lead them there.
Yeah.
But the reality is, think of it like exercise. The bigger the steps, the more fatigued you'll get.
Right.
Just be consistent. Do the small things over a long period of time, and you'll get there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I couldn't, you know what? That's why he's here.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. But no, definitely. I agree. And I was one of those that's always said, like, no, let's go 0 to 100 real quick. But it's not about that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like you're sabotaging yourself. So that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Well,
Thank you
that's
so
it,
much,
guys. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys for watching. And if
you.
you've made it this far, please hit that like and subscribe. Heavy to Hustle. We're on Instagram, TikTok. If you're watching this on YouTube, just hit that like. Hit that
Yeah.
bell.
Hit the like and hit the subscribe, please.
To
Yes,
subscribe
sir.
and let us
Yes.
know in the comments, like, what'd you think about the video? Do you have any questions for the next one? When is Sebastian's next episode?
Yeah, like
Right?
whatever you want. Is he single? I mean, ladies. I mean, whatever it is, just put it down on the comments.
In the comments.
we want it. We want you guys to interact and tell us like, hey, you know what, this is awesome. We loved it. Or hey, Alex, shut up. You're talking too much. Let us know. We want your guys' feedback. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great one.
Bye.